NFL playoffs started this weekend, and we're going to break this whole thing wide open, just like Alan Hearn's ankle. Good afternoon, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Nick Drago. Coming up after the break, we got a lot of NFL stuff to talk about. We got Alabama Clemson's coming up this week, and a big NBA coach was fired, plus Yankees making moves in the MLB free agency. Fans, you're not going to want to miss this one. Sports starts now. Welcome to the Sports podcast with me. I'm your host, Nick Drago. I apologize, I'm in a little hoarse. I was just down at a bar watching the Eagles game, and if you saw how it ended, you'd understand why I'm a little bit hoarse. It was an exciting time, I'm not going to lie. For those of you new to the show, welcome. Like I said, we are the Sports podcast. We want to give you the quick and dirty recap of everything that happened this weekend in the sports world by giving you some insight on what happened and what's going to happen this coming week. So, NFL football has been rip-roaring crazy. We had quite a good weekend of games, I have to say. Where should we start? Let's start with the Colts and the Texans. So this was Saturday. Colts won 21-7. 2 touchdowns for Andrew Luck. Deshaun Watson, 235 yards. But, man, they just couldn't get it done. And listen, I can admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about this game. Somehow, Texas defense, they just had nothing. Houston just couldn't keep it together. The Colts won out offensively. Marlon Mack, 148 yards rushing. Nice work there. The other game was the Cowboys and the Seahawks. This was an exciting one. I did not enjoy watching Dak Prescott or the Cowboys win, but hey, they got there. With just minutes to go, Russell Wilson throws a touchdown to Tyler Lockett. Right? Lockett, by the way, he had 120 yards on the day. So he throws this touchdown. Or was it? I don't think it was Lockett who had it. Either way, they score seconds to go. Right? Seattle now, they're going for the onside kick. And man, that might be the worst onside kick I've ever seen in my life. Now, granted, it's not an easy move to make, but this guy just punted it right to the Cowboys. The game ended right then and there. What I did find interesting was the strategy for the Seahawks in this one. They lost Janikowski to a just awful-looking hamstring injury, and so they had to live without a kicker. No field goals, all touchdowns, all 2-point conversions. And I got to say, the strategy was kind of fun to watch. Listen, I give them all the credit in the world, but once again, I was wrong on this one too. The Cowboys held it together. Seattle looked a lot more than just a one-dimensional team. Ezekiel Elliott, he had 137 yards and a touchdown. And Dak, man, hey, Dak gets them a playoff win. So much more than I think he has more playoff wins now than Tony Romo. Just saying. Moving on to today's game. Chargers and Ravens. Now, can we talk about Lamar Jackson? How does this guy still have a job? Anybody who's listened to my show knows that I am a huge Lamar Jackson hater. The dude wants to be everything that the Ravens offense is. Literally has the most carries, most rushing yards, most passing yards, most touchdowns. He literally wants to be the guy. But guess what? When you're making 14 completions on 29 attempts in the playoffs against the Chargers, you're not going to go anywhere. I mean, honestly, you have a Pro Bowl quarterback sitting on the bench, just waiting to play. He's fully recovered. Joe Flacco is ready to go. And you stick with Lamar Jackson. Honestly, Baltimore, I don't know what else I could say about this. I mean, yeah, they had the late comeback, but really they had 2 touchdowns, both in the fourth quarter. They held the Chargers to where the Chargers are arguably one of the best teams in the league, and I think they held them to 160 passing yards. That's it. Total yards, it was one. Let's see here. A little over 200. That was it. And they blew it. A skilled quarterback would have won that game. Joe Flacco would have won that game. But guess what? Chargers are moving on to the next round. The other game, this was the game I was just talking about, the Eagles and the Bears. And so the Chargers, by the way, that was the only game I was right about. I was right about the Chargers. I was right about Lamar Jackson. So put that in your pocket and enjoy it. The other game is the Eagles and the Bears, and this was number 3 for me that I was incorrect about. The Bears just couldn't put it together. The young team, Trubisky, he didn't look too bad. 303 yards, 1 touchdown. Jordan Howard, he was the leading rusher for the game. Nobody could get the rushing game started. Even Allen Robinson, he had 139 yards and a touchdown too. So this game really came down to the wire, right? It was 15 to 10, and Eagles score with a few seconds left. The Bears get it. They start marching downfield. So now it's 16-15, right? The Bears put in their kicker. They're going to go kick for a field goal. Easy field goal. Could have easily been made. Parkey comes up. By the way, Parkey is tied for the most missed field goals. Tied for second most missed field goals in the NFL. Philly ices him, and then he misses the field goal. The Bears, done. Parkey, that guy, he's not getting a job in Chicago anytime soon. I always like to say, like, Nick Foles for the Eagles never has to buy a dinner or a drink or anything in the city of Philadelphia. Parkey, his prices for meals are going to double, maybe triple. Eagles move on, Bears go down, and that leaves us with some interesting matchups for next week. So first off, 4:30 on Saturday, you got the Colts and you got Kansas City. Then you have Dallas and LA, that's at 8:15. And on Sunday, you got the Chargers taking on New England, that's at 1:05 p.m. Eagles in New Orleans, they're at 4:40 on Sunday. So who do we got in these games? Who am I going for? Clearly, I was so right about everything this week. That was sarcasm, folks. I was terribly, terribly wrong. However, Colts and Chiefs, I'm going with the Colts in this one. Okay? Again, the Chiefs are not the same team without Kareem Hunt. They don't know. They just, their rushing game looks terrible. Yeah, and they let up usually about 26. They average 26 points per game for an opponent. They allow 26.6 points per game for an opponent. That's like 3 touchdowns for Andrew Luck. That's a big game for the Colts. Chiefs let up a lot of points. They don't have much of a running game. The Colts seem to be red hot right now. I'm going with Indy. I'm going with Indy in this one. It's going to be a shocker, and I know I sound like Jorge Pajares, who earlier in the season said it would be Colts and Patriots in the divisional round on our show, and you know what? That's looking fairly likely right now. I'm sorry, not the divisional round, in the championship, in the AFC championship game. I'm going with the Colts. The Rams and the Cowboys keeping the LA dream alive. Oh, this one's tough to see. Cowboys just barely beat Seattle. The Rams are a good team. I gotta say they got their number 2 in as far as yards per game. You got Todd Gurley out there. You got Goff out there. And you got a nasty defense. I think the Rams are going to crush the Cowboys on this one. Sorry. But Dak and Elliott and you got Dak, Elliott. Who's their big guy? Oh, Amari Cooper. I apologize. My nose. Man, my nose is super itchy. I just keep scratching this thing. Hashtag scratching my nose. All right. I'm going with the Rams. The Rams to beat the Cowboys. Not just because I do not enjoy watching the Cowboys win, but because I think the Rams are a better team. Moving on. Chargers, Patriots. This is going to be one of the big games of the playoffs. Somehow, some way, Philip Rivers is locked in right now. Okay? And granted, yeah, the Chargers have not beaten the Patriots since 2008 was the last time that happened. But I don't care. I think it's time. I think for the first time in 10 years, you're going to see the Chargers beat the Patriots. Like I said, I mean, Tom Brady all year, he hasn't been playing that great. Yeah, they have the bye week. Yeah, they're the best team out there. And yeah, I really shouldn't count this guy out. But I got to do it. I think the Chargers are going to win. So we'll have LA. And then the last game is Eagles and Saints. You know what? I said no contest in the last one. The Bears are going to crush the Eagles. No contest. Maybe I'm gonna elevate that thought. I think the Eagles would put on a better show than I expected them to against the Saints. I think they're going to put up the same amount of effort they did this week. They're going to hold the Saints back. But overall, I think New Orleans has this one. I'm still picking New Orleans to win the Super Bowl. But we're going to see what happens. I mean, they're a complete team. The Eagles had some bad moves. Foles did have 2 interceptions today. And they won it. They really won this game off of pure luck. Yeah, I mean, icing the kicker means something, but it's pure luck. I apologize for those watching our YouTube channel. They're just watching me like scratch my nose like crazy here. I don't know. Maybe it's too much cocaine today. All right, before we move on, we're going to talk about the college football playoffs. That's right. The final game is tomorrow. This is round 4 of Alabama-Clemson. The last 4 years now, they have met in the postseason. In 2016, Alabama, they defeated Clemson 45-40 in the championship game. Clemson got their revenge a year later, 35-31, and then last season in the Sugar Bowl, so the semifinals, Alabama beat Clemson 24-6. By that logic, you'd think, well, it went Alabama, Alabama, so Clemson, it's their turn, right? No. I'm sorry. For the first time in as long as I can remember, Alabama has a solid quarterback in Tua. Obviously, their defense is amazing. Obviously, their run game is amazing. But I really think that this is the best Alabama team I can remember seeing in a long time. Clemson's good. Don't get me wrong. But they're just not good enough. Not happening. Let's go with Alabama. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. I started singing in the bonus episode from earlier this weekend. So I thought I'd try it again. Didn't work. I don't know. It wasn't bad. It could be worse. All right, when we return, NBA talk. Big name coach was fired this weekend, this very day. So we got to talk about that. And then NHL hockey, rip roaring. One team in particular has 9 straight victories. I bet you can guess which one I'm going to talk about. And then we'll talk some MLB free agency after all of that. So stick with us because Sports will be right back.
Crowd silent now, as opposed to when the Saints have the ball. Oh, look at this run! What a run! Marshawn Lynch is still on his feet. Has blockers now. He's dancing his way for the touchdown.
Fall's officially upon us, friends. I hope you have your North Faces and your PSLs ready, because you're going to need them. I have to say, both of those companies have really good branding. I mean, who doesn't want that for their own company? We here at Sports are looking for the same like-minded companies who want to grow their brands by advertising through us. Want to be involved? It's easy. Just email us at sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Right now we're offering free advertising on our show, so please shoot us a message and take advantage of this offer. Okay, that's all I have to say. Let's get back to the show.
League MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. Now it's time to add to your resume. NBA champion. How does that sound?
I'm so hyped right now. Anything's possible. Anything's possible!
And welcome back to the show. Basketball. That's that game where you take the big orange thing and you put it in the net thing. A lot of excitement going on there. You know, fans of the show will always tell you that I'm more interested in what goes on off the court than what goes on the court, because honestly, to me, basketball games are just annoying. Not annoying. They can be kind of boring. Everything ends in the last 4 minutes. You can watch the last 4 minutes of the game and know exactly what happened throughout the whole thing. No, it's the off-the-court stuff that I find really interesting. But why don't we talk about what happened in some of these games this weekend? The first, the Nugs beat New Orleans 123-110. 39 points by Nikola Jokic. I shouldn't pronounce any names. All right, the Jazz get a win over the Pistons 110-105. Blake Griffin, he had a double-double, 34 points, 10 rebounds. The Sixers, 106 points versus the Mavericks, 100. Triple-double for Ben Simmons, 20 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. The Pelicans, they get a win 133-98, much needed for this squad. The Raptors, they get a win over the Bucks 123-16. That was huge. You're talking two number one teams. I mean, they're not that they're both number one, but you know, two teams that are, you know, going for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. So the Raptors came out on top of this one. Their record right now is 29-12, with the Bucks 27-11. We'll talk more about the standings in a moment. Spurs 108-88 versus the Grizzlies. Apparently a roaming pigeon made its way onto the court. That was actually kind of funny. You should totally check out the highlights of that. The Trailblazers, they beat the Rockets 110-101. The Rockets, even though James Harden had 38 points, the rest of the team was playing blindfolded like they were in Birdbox. The Warriors 127-123. Of course, Warriors getting another win there. Nets and Bulls, this game was today. Nets won 117-100. Wizards, they crushed the Thunder 116-98. Thunder just looked like a total mess out there. Westbrook, he had a triple-double, 22 points, 15 rebounds, and 13 assists. Right now, the Raptors are crushing the Pacers, 105-92. We're in the fourth. Hornets and Suns in probably a disgustingly, terribly low-scoring game. It's currently, Suns are on top, 68-65. I'm hoping the Suns win because I want the Knicks to have the lowest pick in the draft, or the highest pick in the draft with the lowest record. But I digress. Timberwolves, they win 108-86 over the Lakers. Clippers, they get a win 106-96 over the Magic. And then the Hawks beat the Heat 108-92. John Collins for Atlanta, he had 13 points, 13 rebounds. That, my friend, is double-double. All right, let's look at the standings. Right now in the East, even though the Raptors beat them, the Bucks are on top with half a game. Then below them, you got the Raptors, the Pacers, who look great. 6 wins in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Then you got the 76ers, who they look good. They've won their last 3. They're 7-3 for their last 10, but they're having some off-the-court issues. Jimmy Butler, he's not playing along with the game plan right now. Even Embiid is not playing along with the game plan because Embiid's being played too much as a center, and Butler isn't getting enough chances on the pick and roll. So both of them are ticked off, not getting along. I think Butler's ending up he's going to walk away from the 76ers after this season. I'm calling it now. Let's call it right now. Unless something great happens, like they win a championship. But we'll see. The Celtics, they're at 23-15. Then you got in number 6 place is the Heat, 19-19. And then the Nets, 20-21. The Hornets, 18-20. And my God, what happened to the Pistons? They lost 7 of their last 10 games. They've dropped out of playoff contention. The Magic are 17-22. The Wizards are 15-22. 24. And the Knicks won a game this weekend. They're 10-29. They need to be losing, not winning. Darn it. And they're two in their last 8. Cavaliers, they are just awful team looking right now. They're in last place. All right, moving in. Oh, and if I didn't mention your team, it's because they're that bad. Moving into the West. Nugs are on top, 26-11. Then the Thunder. I know I said the Thunder look bad tonight, but lately they have been crushing it. They're 25-13. The Warriors are 26-14. They're a game and a half behind first place. Then you have the Clippers, the Rockets, who skyrocketed. I know that was lame, but I had to say it. Rockets made their way up there. Spurs made their way in 6th place. They're both playing really strong. And then the Trailblazers, they're in 7th. And the Lakers are starting to drop. How soon until LeBron loses his stuff? They've won 3 of their last 10 games. 3-7. Not good. Jazz, meanwhile, starting to pick it up. They're 6-4 in their last 10. And then you got the Kings, Thunderwolves. The Thunderwolves! That has to be the greatest team name ever. Timberwolves, change your name, please. I want to go see the Minnesota Thunderwolves next season. You got the Grizzlies, Mavericks, Pelicans, and then dead last is the Suns. Things are really shaping up right now. In both divisions, you have a lot of teams that are pushing in and out, and that's usually how it goes in the NBA. A lot of log jamming going on. All right, while we're on the subject of my new favorite team named the Thunderwolves, I will officially be calling the Timberwolves that forever until they change their name. In all reality, though, the team has fired head coach Tom Thibodeau. He has been with the team for 3 seasons. He coached them to 97 wins and 107 losses. Believe it or not, he is tied for second most in team history. He's tied with Rick Adelman. Minnesota, they traded Jimmy Butler. They've been 15-12 since that trade. They opened the season 4-9. So they were looking better, but and they've been playing short-handed. Robert Covington hasn't been playing. Derrick Rose hasn't been playing. But this team is Bills 2.0. What that means is they basically took all of Thibodeau's favorite players from the Bulls. Did I say Bills? My God, what is wrong with me today? This is Bulls 2.0. He took all his favorite players from the Bulls, Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, I think. Did they end up taking Joakim Noah? I don't even remember. We talked about this a while ago. Either way, this team's not built for success. Yeah, you have Karl Anthony Towns. That's great. Put some actual pieces around the man if you want to win. Thibodeau's done. He's gone. He'll end up somewhere at some point. Somebody's going to want him. He had some success at some points. I need to stop saying the word some and stop using the word S, the letter S, in all of my statements. What do you say? Should we talk about hockey? Good old hockey. It's one of my favorite sports. Bunch of Canadians on the ice just hitting each other. Yeah, I'm down with that. All right, the Flyers, they lost to the Flames in overtime. Brody had the final goal to put them on top 3-2. This was on Saturday. The Wild beat the Senators, 4-3. The Brew Crew, 2 goals by Wagner and Backus, got them the 2-1 victory over the Sabres. That's a much-needed victory. The Sabres are in that playoff hunt. Just like I'm in my nose right now, scratching this mother. Maple Leafs, they get a win 5-0 over the Canucks. The Predators win 4-1 over the Canadiens. 2 goals by Smith. Jones with an overtime goal in the Blue Jackets-Panthers game. Panthers win. Panthers do not win. No, they do not. No. The Blue Jackets win 4-3. Islanders, they win 4-3 over the Blues. Thanks to Eberle and Boyhuck. Does he mean Boychuk? Totally means Boychuk. That's a typo. Boyhuck helps rally the Islanders for the win, 4-3. The Kings, they get a win over the Oilers 4-0, and the Sharkies, they win over the Lightning 5-2, ending that massive point streak that the Lightning have been boasting about for the last few weeks. All right, the Penguins, they are currently beating the Blackhawks 2-1. If they win, it'll be their 9th straight victory. So good luck to the Penguins. That actually is not right. It's actually 3-2. Penguins still in the lead. The Oilers beat the Duckies 3-0. Or they're winning against the Duckies. Sorry, 3-0. Some games that have actually ended today. Hurricanes beat the Senators. That's their 4th straight win, 5-4. Coyotes, they get a win over the Rangers, 5-0 shutout. The Golden Knights continue playing hot. They win 3-2 over the Devils. And then Capitals, they got a win over the Red Wings, 3-2. Jets win over the Stars, 5-1. Let's look at those standings. So, we're looking at the Atlantic Division. Obviously, Tampa Bay is on top. I mean, this team's just been phenomenal. They have 66 points. 10 points below them is the Maple Leafs at 56. And then you got the Bruins at 52. Right? Wild card teams right now, you have one. Buffalo Sabres would be the wild card team for the Atlantic. Because in the Metro, the Islanders have been playing well enough. They've won 6 straight games. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're playing that well that they are in that second wild card slot right now. The other teams for the Metro, obviously, you have the Capitals on top at 54, Penguins with 52, and these two have been kind of back and forth the last couple days. And then you have at 51, you have the Blue Jackets. So 3 teams all within 3 points of first place. Expect the Metro to get crazy. The Penguins, like I said, huge win streak right now. The Hurricanes are on a win streak themselves, but they're only at 43 points. Moving into the West, you got the Jets on top at 54, then the Predators at 53, and the Avalanche at 48. Preds and Jets, they've also been going back and forth, but Predators, they just haven't been looking that great lately. They really haven't. Moving into the Pacific, you got the Flames, the Golden Knights, now tied with them, 6 straight victories. They've only lost once in regulation in their last 10 games. And then you got the Sharkies at 53. And then your wild card teams right now would be the Stars, and you'd have the Ducks. So the NHL playoffs are going to get a little bit crazy. And while we're talking NHL playoffs, why don't we try to take a peek at some of the stats right now. Kucherov crushing it at 69 points. He's on pace for 130, which is huge. That's what the NHL was expecting when they dropped the size of the goalie pads this year. So he's got 69 points. Right behind him is Mikko Rantanen for Colorado, and then McKinnon also in Colorado. They both have 65 and 63 respectively. Goals, Alex Ovechkin with 30. Shocker. Jeff Skinner behind him with 28, and then John Tavares at 27. And then nobody cares about plus minus. Marc-Andre Fleury, he has the most wins right now at 24. Good for you, Fleury. Love that guy. Love him. All right, why don't we take a break? We'll come back, we'll talk baseball, and then we'll wrap this whole thing up in a cute little bow. So, what are you doing here? Go take a commercial break. See ya.
It's Schultz working it back in deep. Fresh from the bench, it's Crosby. Crosby on Kunitz at second. Penguins win it! And they go to the final! Chris Kunitz with the second of the game. Fresh legs by Crosby. And a bunch of happy humans here in Pittsburgh.
Are your briefs too stretchy? Well, now they don't have to be with Stick Pants. Now with only 45% chance of impotence. Okay, that's a pretty bad advertisement. You know what would work better here, though? Your own ad. Nick Drago here again, offering you a piece of the action right here, right now. Best part is, it can be anything you want it to be. No, wait, that's not the best part. How could I forget the best part? The best part is I'm offering free ad space. So, if you have a product you want me to endorse, please email us at sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. It won't cost you a dime, and I'll be waiting patiently at my computer.
Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all.
And welcome back to the show. Let's talk baseball. So, it seemed for the last few weeks that the big name free agents were all set in stone. Excuse me while I scratch my nose again. I swear, it's going to be red like Rudolph tomorrow. The big name free agents were all set in stone, right? Bryce was going to L.A. Machado was going to New York. And that was basically that. But things have changed. The Nationals are willing to give Bryce Harper a massive, over $300 million contract. Is he worth it? I mean, he wasn't batting over 300 this year. He really wasn't that great of a player. Not living up to the caliber he could be. Yeah, he won the MVP award once. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. This team hasn't made it. They haven't won a single playoff series with him. Why waste all of that money? And after all of this, he still has been talking about leaving. Why even throw him that contract? Say goodbye and send him on his merry way. Honestly, I still don't see Bryce re-signing with the Nationals, but they've moved into front runner status. Them and the Dodgers. We'll see what happens. Machado, I still think Yankees. But right now, the only team that's submitted an offer to him is the White Sox, and it's apparently a pretty decent offer. Yankees also just signed Troy Tulowitzki and said he's playing shortstop, which is where they would want Machado to play, but that's all. For all we know, they're just just smoke and mirrors. They're trying to throw us all the trail. The Yankees did sign Zach Britton this week. That was a huge move because he was one of the top 3 relievers on the market. The other 2 is Ottavino and Craig Kimbrell. Right now, Yankees are pushing hard to get Ottavino too. Still going to assemble. They're still going to have one of the best relieving core in Major League Baseball, right? Think about this. You could pull a pitcher out in the 5th inning. You'd have Chad Green, right? You'd have Ottavino, Betances, Britton, and then put in Aroldis Chapman and send this whole thing home. Not a bad looking group, am I right? So Yankees relieving core, you gotta watch out for them because they're going to be nasty. If they do that, what are the Red Sox going to do? Are they going to try and compete? Are they going to maybe think about signing Craig Kimbrell for that 6-year ridiculous $1 million contract? It's a possibility. They're going to want to keep up with the Joneses. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Lately, some Kluber talks between the Tribe and Los Angeles. He might be moving out west. We'll see how it goes. And, I think that's all I got for baseball. All right, why don't we wrap this thing up? Listen, if you enjoyed the show, find us on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, or Twitter. Tweet. I use all of those sites. Just type in Sports with Nick Drago or at Sports3X Podcast. Special thanks today, of course, to the lovely and talented Johanna Drago. She is my wife. She is also the logo designer, the set designer, and she is our content editor as well. Special thanks to Mary Kay Albert, Joe Calabro. They're always liking our stuff on Facebook. By the way, our NFL playoff special, I just want to say thank you to the 4,000 fans who saw that on Facebook. 4,000 fans. That is, I really have to say thank you to all of those folks who enjoyed listening to me talk. What else? The music for this podcast is a song called Golden Sunrise. Link to that website by Josh Woodward. A link to his website can be found in our show notes. Sorry, Josh. And then I think that's all I have to thank people for today. Listen, I'm going to be in Florida next week. Am I leaving you high and dry? No. But our podcast is going to have to be a little different. I'm basically going to go to you live from Florida just to talk about all the NFL stuff going on. So why don't you tune in, find our Facebook page. Like I said, go to Facebook, type in one of two things, either at Sports3X Podcast or Sports with Nick Drago. Find that blue logo. It's got a star and it says Sports. That's us. like the page, subscribe to the page, whatever, live video, and we'll obviously put that up on Facebook, and then we'll go from there. All right, well, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go blindfold myself and do a bunch of ridiculous tasks, just like that chick from Birdbox. What's her name? I'm just kidding. I love Sandy B. Everybody does. All right, friends, family, and acquaintances, thank you for tuning in this week. This is the Sports Podcast. I am out. Email us sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. Like, share, follow, comment, tweet. I don't know, all of that stuff. I'm losing it, man. I'm done for tonight. See ya. Good night.